Otumfuo-led mediation, which took a number of months. But what we do know is that it will be presented to the president tomorrow. So the situation right now is looking very, very calm, as we are told, especially having to do with the fact that the very key leadership of tradition and government have been involved in all of this. So the Asantehene Otumfuo-led II is set to present a comprehensive report on the Bawku Peace Roadmap to President John Mahama on December 16, 2025. This marks a significant milestone in the effort to resolve the long-standing Bawku chieftaincy conflict. Let's bring you more in this report.
The mediation process, initiated by former President Kufuor and continued by President Mahama, has involved extensive dialogue between the Kusasi and Mamprisi communities. Key aspects of the mediation process included dialogue sessions between representatives from both communities who met at the Menchia Palace with security personnel deployed to ensure order. On Monday, December 1, the Asantehene rounded off his mediation effort in the Bawku chieftaincy crisis with a face-to-face meeting between the contending parties at the Menchia Palace, Jubilee Hall, Kumasi. The report will outline agreements reached, recommendations for next steps, and proposals for consolidating peace in the area. The Bawku conflict has resulted in several deaths, displacement, and destruction of property since November 2021. The mediation efforts, praised by the National Peace Council, aims to bring lasting peace and stability to the region. The presentation of the report is expected to be a crucial step towards implementing a roadmap for peace in Bawku. Judith Brown.
And now let's shift our attention and speak to Castro Senyala, who is our man on the ground for us. Castro, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Yes, good evening, Martin.
So we know that, a lot has been ongoing in Kumasi, or specifically Menchia, where the negotiations have had, quite some time with the leadership and the key stakeholders. Tomorrow the report will be presented, but the area that was being discussed in Menchia is Bawku and its environs. How are they receiving news of the fact that from tomorrow the report will be presented to the president?
Right, Martin. So right from when Otumfuo began to lead the committee in the mediation process, expectations from both sides have been very high. And the calls have always been that the residents of Bawku should, embrace peace as the Otumfuo-led mediation team continues their works. And but then, even though the mediation wasn't, going on, there were pockets of violence scattered around Bawku Township and the Bawku general area, which the law enforcement agencies, including the military and the police, have always tried their best to see how they can bring the situation under control. And if you remember, just a few weeks ago, about last week thereabouts, the two factions came together because the military brought them together to a meeting where it was discussed that they need to call their followers and bring them to understand the fact that there is the need for them to let peace prevail in Bawku and also live together as brothers and sisters as they await the outcome of the mediation team. And so I can report that since then, there have been a few incidents, but then the general picture of it is that there has been absolute calm. There haven't been any major attacks. There have been incidents where empty houses have been attacked and burnt, but there haven't been casualties. But then if you compare what was happening to now, especially after the leadership of the two factions were called for a meeting by the military Northern Command, I would say that there has been appreciable calm. And as we speak now, tomorrow is the D-Day, the day that the Otumfuo-led administration would submit their report to the president, and then maybe from there will be the implementation aspect of it. But I can report that the military is in control. The police and all the other security agencies in the Bawku general area and the regional areas are in control and are keeping calm. I was with the military 2 days ago to the Binduri and Bawku areas, and when we went around, you could see people going about their normal businesses. Women were going about their trading activities. Men were also going about their other activities. I saw a lot of schools opened with children going about their academic activities, and there was no cause for worry. But then the anxiety, the tension is very high. I can report that because each of the factions want to hear something favorable. But there haven't been any, major violent incidents that have claimed life in a couple of weeks that calls have been made for, both sides, members or supporters of both sides to lay down their arms and also embrace peace. Martin, well, the call has been that anyone who has spoken about the need for peace, right from the factions themselves to the military and then the police and also to the Otumfuo-led administration, the call has always been that Bawku was once a vibrant town, and the continuous fighting and violence is robbing it, taking that vibrancy away from it. And it's important that the people begin to realize that they are losing a lot, especially when it comes to development, and there is the need for them to embrace peace and nothing more.
Right, Castro. So I get the sense that you say citizens and residents in and around Bawku are aware that there was a mediation and the report from that mediation is going to the president. So they are already in the know, just like almost every one of us, we are uncertain of the content of that report. However, how are they reacting to the fact that things might change, the norm might change, where, for instance, effective when the report is presented, some key actions will be taken, which would mean changes in and around the way they live their lives. Are they prepared for that as well?
Yes, Martin, I can report that they are prepared for that. Engaging with residents of Bawku on camera is usually the big problem because it's sharply divided. Once you speak to one portion or one faction, you need to speak to the other faction, and usually moving around is a bit of a problem. But then from what I get and the information I gather, the people have high expectations. One faction has high expectations, the other faction also has high expectations. But like I stated, the general call has always been that they are one people, they are brothers and sisters, and so each of the factions should accept and embrace the outcome of the Otumfuo-led administration. And Martin, let me touch on this real quick. There haven't been instances where each of the factions have stated or openly stated their doubts over what Otumfuo can do. They usually say that they trust what Otumfuo is capable of doing, and they believe that once he is leading the mediation team, a favorable proposal or outcome will be achieved. They are of the view that he is the right person to lead, and so far he hasn't shown bias. If you remember, during his mediation process, he would usually call each of the factions to come and present their case, and according to people who I have spoken to, they tell me that they like the way and manner in which the Otumfuo handled all of this. And so there hasn't been any open declaration of distrust or the fact that they don't believe in what the Otumfuo-led mediation team would do. And that, I think, is what is helping. But then the stakes are high. People are expecting so much. Like I stated earlier on, each of the factions believes that they are deserving of any favorable outcome that would come out from the Otumfuo-led administration. But then from the DCs, to the police, to the military, to the political state actors, the calls have always been that, please, if it comes and it favors A or it favors B, it does not matter. We are one people. Please embrace peace so that they can help collectively to bring Bawku back to its toes as one of the vibrant, most populated municipalities in the Upper East region. Martin, let me put in this real quick. When the two factions met with the military at the Bawku Municipal Assembly, one of the speakers made a very interesting and very touching, gave a touching account. He said that he belongs to the ruling party, the party that is currently in power, but unfortunately he belongs to one of the factions which he cannot come to the other side where the Municipal Assembly is situated. And so, ordinarily, as a party member and as someone who has his party in power, he should be able to come to the DCE or the MCE and lobby for some opportunities for his people and then for the area. But unfortunately, because of the divide which has been caused by the conflict, he is not able to come, because once he comes, he will be attacked. And that was very touching. And
right.
Based on that, he also believed that they have to put aside all their differences and come together. And I can report that from what they said, that you can see that both factions are really not happy about what is happening, and they are hoping that the Otumfuo-led resolution process will bring an end and a lasting peace to the Bawku general areas.
Right. Thank you, Castro, for that update and the fact that you're keeping very close tabs on this for us. We are grateful. Castro Senyala is our Upper East regional correspondent, updating us on what is expected or how residents are awaiting what the content of that report is. Security consultant and analyst Emmanuel Kuting is also on the line. He's joined us for a conversation on this subject. Mr. Kuting, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Martin, and very good evening to your cherished listeners.
Right. I mean, we are all waiting to see what is contained in that report, because clearly then it gives us some idea of how the mediation went, and then also what role or what strategies government through the chiefs and opinion leaders and elders will be rolling out. But what are your personal expectations of the content of that report, that will be presented tomorrow?
Well, Martin, I hope the feuding factions don't disappoint me and Ghanaians in general. It is what I call the long walk to peace. And then if you look at what mediation entails, the fundamental truth is that there are no winners or losers. Both parties are winners. So that is the fundamental truth the feuding factions, and for that matter, Ghanaians have to embrace. The peace is not a win for one faction and a defeat to the other, not at all. But the fundamental thing is that the institution of Otumfuo has been proven time and time again to be very impartial. And we have to commend Otumfuo highly for that. Because if you look at what happened during the mediation and both parties coming out claiming victory, it means that they have so much confidence in the process, and both parties believe that they will come out victorious. And when the mediation concluded, there were sporadic disturbances within the Bawku area. And I stated that it was normal. It's just like the animal. When you kill the animal, it's taking its last breath, it will definitely kick its legs. It's normal in mediation and peace building. Now, there's one critical thing that gives some of us hope that we are almost there. Otumfuo cautioned both parties never to divulge any of the sittings, arrangement or agreements or whatever disagreement to the public. And so far, that has been adhered to. That's where I thought there is a saturation point for us to have peace in Bawku. Now, there are political nuances around this very conflict. And I like the way Otumfuo is going about it. He's going to present his report to the president in the midst and presence of the entire Ghanaian public through the media. So it's not as if the report was presented to somebody and they went behind the scenes to do some form of machinations. And I am positive that the future will be good as far as this peace mediation is concerned. Because both feuding factions agreed before Otumfuo that they have intermarried and they are one blood and they shouldn't be at war with each other. And I also think that we are all tired. Even the feuding factions are tired. It is about time we give peace an opportunity, and like your reporter mentioned, Bawku can return to its former glory. So I think that we should be expectant. What I will caution the media is that let's wait until the report is presented so that we don't make certain innuendos and predictions. It kind of creates some kind of dissatisfaction among the feuding faction. And I want to even commend the Secretariat of Otumfuo that, unlike in past practices where we get information being leaked and stuff like that, we have had none this time. So I think it to be a good day for Ghana, and for that matter, peace for the good people of Bawku tomorrow.
Right. And clearly, like you indicated, we are all unsure what the content will be, but definitely we are all anticipating that the content is one that would drive the entire Bawku enclave and its surrounding towards peace. However, what would your expectations have been, or what should be expected of the citizens and the residents in and around Bawku in terms of preparing them for the ultimate announcement that will be made?
I think His Royal Majesty Otumfuo charged the leadership of both feuding factions to go and prepare the minds of their people, because I know there were some kind of sunset clauses where they both signed that irrespective of whom emerges as the victor, is a victory for everybody. Like I mentioned, peace, we don't have nothing like losers or winners, and they will abide by such ruling in the name of peace. My prayer is that they don't renege on their promises onto what they signed before Otumfuo. Even though we got certain information, there were some disagreements over certain things on the final day. It is normal in peace building and mediation processes. It's just like going to the market. You can't get everything to buy in the market. So it's normal, and I pray that tomorrow will bring a finality to this pre-independence age conflict that is strengthening our fight against violent extremist groups. Because Bawku is not properly governed, you see that a lot of extremist groups and the bad guys have taken over such ungoverned spaces and doing all manners of things. And looking at the critical period we find ourselves with instability within the sub-region, our best bet to safeguarding our democracy is to make sure that peace reigns in Bawku. And I'm using your esteemed medium to appeal to the indigenes of Bawku to know that our common enemy is poverty, and let's come together in the spirit of love, in the spirit of what our grandfathers left us. You see, many people don't know the history of we Northerners. In those days, when you enter a Northerners' home, they don't invite you to come and eat. They'll ask you, are you not hungry? That is the spirit we've always lived until these kind of things are coming and we don't know where it is coming. I appeal to both feuding factions that in the spirit of peace and for the development of our people and the larger interests of Ghana in our fight against terrorism, they should give peace a chance. And I know tomorrow, God's willing, that opportunity will be presented to us.
Certainly, and that's what we are all looking forward to. But my final question would be on the issue of the involvement of political actors when it comes to issues of peace. Now that there is this clarion call, national call for peace to return to Bawku, because clearly it is a blot on the image of the entire country, not just the northern part of the Upper East or just parts of Ghana. But when you mention Ghana and security issues are discussed, Bawku almost always comes up. So there is this general expectation that we will deal with Bawku once and for all. Certainly, there's activities of politicians when it comes to these issues. How can we decouple politics from issues of peace? And is it even possible now that if the president, who is the executive or politician, receives this, rolling it out or implementing it might take one or two political actors? Are you certain we can clearly, do away with politics when it comes to sustainable peace?
If you look at the institution of Otumfuo, he's somebody who cannot be influenced by political considerations. And that was so telling how this mediation went and how the both feuding factions expressed so much confidence in the process. For nothing at all, you remember the Dagbon crisis. It was equally politically charged. But when Otumfuo came to the scene, he committed both parties to agree that whoever was chosen as the successor, the other was bound to agree. It worked. I don't think this is different. And the beauty is even that Otumfuo is going to present his recommendation to the president, not in conclave, but in the open to the good people of Ghana through the media. So there's nothing political in this, unless, of course, we are saying that Otumfuo can be influenced by politicians, which to me, I doubt, because the institution of Otumfuo, nobody can read any political nuances to what he has done before and what he is doing now. I can see that he is God sent to this country and he's committed to bringing chieftaincy conflict that has bedeviled and held back development in this country to complete fruition, to the understanding and knowledge and recommendation of even people who sit afar and want to infer certain things into it. Look at Dagbon. Over 13 years, there was not development in the northern region. He stepped in. Look at the development the northern region is taking. And know in Bawku, he can do it. What I want to urge both political parties, especially the NPP and the NDC politicians, whom this conflict has revolved around, that they should be agents of change this time for peace, and not agents for political propaganda, where they seek to get political mileage from this kind of conflict. So tomorrow, when the recommendation is presented, I know in a football game, it's only one team that wins. We cannot all be winners. In that case, we are all winners. And I know tomorrow, by the special grace of God, all things being equal, we will put this behind us.
We are grateful to you, Mr. Kutin, for your time. As always, we are grateful that you made time to speak with us. Emmanuel Kutin is a security analyst and has been sharing his thoughts on the expectations of the Bawku mediation, or the Otumfuo-led mediation report, which will be submitted to the president tomorrow. And it all has to do with how lasting peace can return to Bawku, but it certainly will take some doing or some action to ensure that this peace returns. So we've gauged the mood on the ground, spoken to our correspondent in terms of anticipation or expectation ahead of the presentation of the report, and then also picked some security perspectives on it. What does this mean in terms of the rollout of the roadmap or the rollout of the peace plan for the constituents and individuals in and around Bawku? And clearly, everyone has a role to play. It's not just those living there, but the entire country has a supporting role to play so that in time to come, many of us who are down south, who see Bawku or the northern part of the country as very remote and far off from us, would be able to visit there with no concern about security or peace issues. Then again, a number of security analysts have warned that if we are unable to douse these concerns, these uncomfortable flames of tension in Bawku, it could fester and become an albatross around our necks, because those are the types of situations that jihadists and extremists look forward to. They like places where there is already some tension or there's brewing trouble. Then they can pour more petrol in it and blow it into larger proportions of concern, where although you are down south, you are unsafe, because jihadists have taken advantage of the instability and confusion and conflict in Bawku to ensure that they spread their wicked tentacles far and wide. But if a solution is found, thankfully through the Otumfuo-led mediation, and it's presented to the president and the rollout is supported by all and sundry, then we can ensure that the entire territorial borders of Ghana is safe. Inside is safe, out is safe. And as the president himself is working to ensure that the West African sub-region, especially countries that border Ghana, are safe or experiencing peace in their own rights, we can all go to bed knowing that there is nothing to be worried about or to bother us about when it comes to security. So we wait to see what the full content of that report will be. We'll definitely be bringing you the details as and when we do get it. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition. We are bringing you stories that are making headlines in Ghana. And even in case you are just joining us, our big stories we are looking at this evening include the fact that the efforts to resolve the long-standing issues in Bawku is currently underway. So clearly, the report is being presented tomorrow. We'll update you on that. Again, other stories we are looking forward to include the fact that the governing National Democratic Congress is confident of winning the Kpandai election rerun despite a new poll predicting a slight lead for the opposition candidate Matthew Nyendam of the NPP. And later, we'll bring you the story of construction works that we are told is progressing steadily on several key road infrastructure in the Volta region under government's flagship program, The Big Push. Do send us your messages. We'll be happy to share it with the rest of the world. Let's now take you to the Volta region. Construction works are progressing steadily on several key road infrastructure in the Volta region under government's flagship program, The Big Push. Critical roads such as the Ho-Aflawo Road, the Have-Hohoi Road are all receiving attention following a groundbreaking ceremony that was performed by President John Mahama in September. Our Volta regional correspondent Faisal Abdul Idris has been following all these reports and has come through with this.
On September 17, President Mahama launched what was a major campaign promise, The Big Push in Ho. The $10 billion flagship program is aimed at comprehensively addressing the country's infrastructure deficit, particularly roads.
All these roads that are starting, the money is sitting in the account and waiting to pay them. I was talking with the minister, and he's allocating 30 billion cedis to the Big Push.
Under the Big Push, major roads such as the Ho-Aflawo Road, Atimpoku through Asikuma and Nyawasi to Ho Road, which are considered economic corridor roads for the Volta region, were captured, totaling 177 kilometers of roads.
And I am challenging all contractors to prove that the idea that the Ghanaian contractor is not fit for purpose, that the Ghanaian contractor can only do shoddy work. Let us seize this opportunity to prove everybody wrong.
Barely 3 months after, work is progressing steadily on each of these roads.
There are 9 contractors on the stretch. Progress on the road is impressive. Contractors are working very well on the road. Everything is fine. This, when completed, is also going to boost the economic activity, especially from Aflawo to Ho.
Volta Regional Minister James Gunu, who has been touring the projects, wants the roads completed on schedule.
And having gone round, we've seen significant progress. We urge the contractors to work very fast. This is not just a project. This is a special project that has a lot of economic opportunities.
Another road getting attention under the Big Push is the Have-Hohoi Road. The about 54-kilometer stretch was initially funded by COCOBOD, but has been enrolled onto the Big Push under the National Road 2, which stretches from Tema to Kolongogo.
All the 4 entry roads are under construction. Luckily, our roads, all of them have been captured under the Big Push. I know when this is completed, when these roads are completed, and the traffic, half of the traffic is moved from Kumasi to Hokwe, business will boom, and then the economic activities will rise in
Despite the progress being made on the other roads, work on the Have-Hohoi Road appears to be slow.
We are not too impressed with the Hokwe-Have activities because of the delay from the contractors. However, looking at
the contractors from Asekuma to Atidome, we are impressed.
When you have a look into our shops now, a lot of dust every day, every time. If it has rained or it has not rained, the dust is disturbing us a lot. And we are even falling sick as well. So the day this road will be tarred, some of us will sing hallelujah and be wearing white every day.
The Volta region is benefiting enormously from the Big Push program. When completed, these roads will open up the region to seamless traffic flow, the transportation of goods and services from the south to the north, from the western to the eastern corridors of the region.
And that's a report by Castro Senyala. Let's now do politics now. We're going to Kpandai constituency, where the governing National Democratic Congress says it remains upbeat about its chances in the upcoming Kpandai parliamentary election rerun, despite a new poll by Global Info Analytics predicting a possible narrow victory for the New Patriotic Party's Matthew Nyindam. A survey released on Sunday, the 14th of December, shows Mr. Nyindam polling 50% of voter support, placing him just 4 points ahead of the NDC's Daniel Nsala Wakpal, who garnered 46%. So let's now go to the phone lines and speak to Rashid Tanko Computer, who is the NDC's Deputy Director of Elections and IT. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us on 3FM, Mr. Tanko.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Clearly, the NDC should be concerned that one of the trusted poll institutions in the country, which predicted the massive, overwhelming victory of the NDC, is saying that for Kpandai, things aren't looking too good for you. How does the NDC take this report?
My brother, we respect the polling of Issa Dankwa. He's one of the best brains when it comes to polling in Ghana. I mean, we always rely on most of his polling to go back to the drawing board to put things together and go into the field. I can assure you, this one, we've taken it on board. We've respected the decision, the views, the results that he came out with in terms of what is going on in Kpandai. Don't forget, we still have some 16 days more to go. I mean, it's important that this thing came up now for us to look at some of the gray areas that we had challenges. And I can assure you, we are going to zoom into the report properly, go back to the drawing board, and then overturn this thing within the shortest possible time. It means that we need to do more by speaking to the people, let them understand the need for them to vote our candidate. Don't forget, in the same report, it indicated that the rating of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has drastically increased in the constituency. I mean, the people believe that his policies are good, is going down well. Maybe there might be something wrong with our approach. That is why we are still lacking behind them. But I can assure you, we still have some 2 weeks and some few days to work on that.
A lot can happen within that 2-week window.
Oh, yes. I'll give you an example. It happened the same thing in Akotia. When he did his first polling, do you know that at that time, we were trailing behind the MPP? Yes, that's what happened in Akotia. And because we're busy working on the funeral of my late boss, Dr. Manibwa and other things, we didn't get to Akotia early. And then so the MPP took the lead when they did the polling. And so Nyindam could have taken the lead due to some sympathy. Don't forget, as soon as the ruling came and he was moved out from parliament, he moved to the constituency and was organizing chiefs upon chiefs left and right, competing and crying to them and saying all manner of things. And so until yesterday, that our national team and that of regional team met in Kpandai to strategize another thing. As we speak now, I can tell you by next week, if they go and do another polling, you will see MPP going down.
Right.
NDC will leapfrog over because we have sent our team of expert campaigners and other things into the field so that they will sell the message of the government properly to the people of Kpandai. And I know Kpandai is a lovely place. There are very nice people there. They will buy the message that we are going to sell to them, and they will vote for our candidate.
Okay. Comparing the polls, I mean, what led to the NDC going to court clearly beyond the issues of the pink sheets also showed that in as much as 41 of the polling centers had concerns, the numbers were clearly favoring the NPP candidate. So there are those who are saying that the NDC should just accept that Kpandai is not one that they can easily claim. Even the polls of 2024 shows that although there were issues, if all things remain constant, the NPP candidate is favored in that constituency to the NDC candidate, whom little to nothing is known about.
Let me tell you, they don't have any figures to back themselves. Those fake figures that they were banding around, the court nullified all the figures. They don't have any figures. They don't have any 3,000 votes. That 3,000 someone they are talking of, that's why they nullified it. Can you imagine one polling station, you go and record 1,400 votes? Which polling station do you have in Ghana that is up to 1,000? The highest you can get is 750. That's the highest polling station. Anything above 750 should be in suspect. And yes, Kpandai, there were polling stations recording as much as 1,400, some 1,200. I was surprised they nullified the elections results.
Okay.
That's how they got the phantom 3,000 votes. They don't have it. As we are going to this election, we are using eagle eye on them and see whether they can record that kind of thing again. They don't have it. This was the same thing they did at Akotia and were banding some 2,000 votes around. And I told them that you don't have any 2,000 votes. You are lying to Ghanaians. You rigged the election. And true to when we went to Akotia, did you see their 2,000 votes? There was no any 2,000 votes for them. Okay. Because they have been rigging. And this time they won't have that opportunity to rig.
Tanko, we would have to leave it here for now, since clearly you are one of the individuals who have to answer to almost every call regarding the Kpandai elections from the NDC camp. So we'll leave it here for now. Certainly we'll be engaging you more in the coming days.
I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. And you heard Rashid Musa Computer, who is the Deputy Director of IT for the NDC, and giving us his perspective. Now let's speak to a pollster and then a political watcher himself, an analyst, Professor Smart Sarpong. He has also joined us on this. Prof, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Right. Good evening.
What is your reading of what's happening in Kpandai? It looks as though the NDC is confident. The NPP is also confident. In fact, the NPP said they were not going to agree to this rerun of the elections, but they have gone back to the constituency and are vigorously campaigning, meaning that they have come to the realization or to terms that whether they like it or yes, the elections will happen. So they better do what is expected, which is the campaign. But as someone who watches the political space generally, what's happening in Kpandai? What's your reading of it? Hello, Mr. Sapo.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, the line is a bit dodgy, but if you can kindly reposition so we can hear you. No, we don't. No, let's call you back. Let's call you back, and hopefully we can have a clearer connection to Professor Smart Sarpong, who is a political analyst and then also himself a pollster and a senior lecturer as well. Now, from all intents and purposes, what we at your Election Command Center intend to do is to keep you in the loop of what's happening. Remember that the 2024 elections, a bit of background or context here. After the 2024 elections in Kpandai, when the results in Kpandai constituency were announced, the NDC had issues and they took those issues to court. A few months down the line, the Tamale High Court ruled in that issue, which has now led to why there seemed to be a rerun of the Kpandai constituency elections. Let's see if we have a clearer connection to Professor Sarpong. Prof, thank you for joining us again. Yes, I can hear you now.
Nice one, Martin. All right. So, as I was saying, it is in the interest of both parties to get to the grounds and campaign. That is not to suspend the ongoing appeals and the legal issues, but they are two separate things, even though they are interrelated. So I am not surprised that the NDC is down there in Kpandai, and then the MPP is also there in Kpandai. If there is anything called sympathy, you and I know it goes for Marty Yindam, who for the past close to 1 year, almost 9-10 months, have been the member of parliament for Kpandai until the Tamale High Court ruling. So, like the case of Asien North, where the Chekwesin was the duly elected member of parliament but had to be hit with several legal issues, as we remember, this case with Yindam is quite similar. And so, if there's anything called sympathy, it will go with Matthew Yindam. But I believe in getting to the grassroots, engaging them, explaining why your situation is superior to the other. And we all know that when it comes to reruns or by-elections, the incumbent starts as the favorite, because all problems that faces Kpandai can be resolved overnight by the government in power. And I would not be surprised if some roads begins to receive attention within the next few weeks or days to elections, as we are, as it characterizes most by-elections here in Ghana. But irrespective of what the incumbent does, if the level of sympathy to Yindam is quite strong, then perhaps, as it happens in Asien North, it can happen. And we can see from the early indications from my friend Musa Dankwe's poll that there is some level of lead. Even though we all can see that it's quite a close lead, a lead that can easily be overturned by any serious political party like NDC and all those things. But, I mean, let's take it as this is the baseline. They are all now going to heat up into the main campaign. God willing, by next week, I might send my team there to also study the temperature within the Kpandai. And then we see for the very last week to the election how they will gain from the various campaigns that they'll be doing. Those that will be doing the developmental projects and how it is going to impact on the voters' mind and all those things will be studied as we inch towards the election day. But I'll call on everybody interested, especially the security services, to watch out for these centers, particularly about 10 communities within the Kpandai. One place is called Kalande. If we pay some attention to the place, it sometimes becomes a hot spot during elections. We also have Kojo Bonimpe. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing the words well, but we have also Buya.
Well, Mr. Sapon, clearly these are names some of us are also hearing for the first time, so we can't say whether you are pronouncing it right or wrong. But I would want to just, because of time, come and wrap this up with you, which would be that I deduce from what you're saying that incumbency may not necessarily favor the NDC candidate because his government is in power or his party is in power. However, sympathy votes could go in favor of Matthew Yindam because some of the constituents and himself feel hard done by the court's decision. So how can he capitalize on these sentiments to ensure that he retains his seat, Matthew Yindam, that is?
Yes, so he can take a lot of lessons from his own colleague in parliament, Jeche Kwesin, who was hit with a similar situation and was able to marshal on, whipped up the sympathies of his own people to his advantage. So you realize, however the MPP did by way of development and incumbency and all those things, Asien South still stood with Jeche Kwesin. If the early indications are suggesting that Matthew has some chance, then he can take some lessons, talk to his brother Jeche Kwesin, take some lessons, and try to intensify and whip up the sympathy to his side. Because, I mean, like it or not, even though the court has thrown away the figures like my brother Computer said, there are still some people who also rejoice upon his victory in those particular constituencies where the court has annulled those votes. So if he works well on whipping the sympathies to his advantage, he may eventually benefit. But, I mean, the primary rule is that the incumbency has an advantage when it comes to a rerun. Only that Asien North and some other 4 constituencies in the past will suggest to you that sometimes the sympathies get to a level where incumbency cannot overturn.
Wow. Prof, thank you so much. And in the build-up to that all-important rerun, we'll definitely be engaging you some more.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Professor Smart Sapong is a lecturer, a political analyst, and a pollster himself, and has been sharing his thoughts on the build-up to the Kpandai election, which should be happening in about 2 weeks. So trust your election command center to keep you posted as and when the election day does arrive, and then activities that will characterize that day's election. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition, and we are shifting our attention to some other issues now, specifically to the courts, where many of you would recall that there have been a number of cases, high-profile cases, that have gone to court. And let's speak to our court correspondent who has joined us in studio for a quick chat regarding that. And we are going to start with issues about the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. So a former board member of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund has admitted to extensive email exchanges with other board members as he testified against the fund's former board chair, Professor Christopher Otumfuo-led, and ex-CEO Solomon Asamoah, in the ongoing trial over the failed $2 million SkyTrain project. Now, Lord was in court. He's joined us in studio for this conversation. Lord, thank you for your time. To start with, what were the key moments during today's cross-examination, and how did the prosecution's first witness respond to the issues raised by the defense?
Right, thank you, Martin. You'd recall that the prosecution, their first witness, he's a former board member of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. He is Yao Odame Dakwa. Now, during his first, while he was presenting his testimony, submitting his witness testimony, he indicated that the SkyTrain project did not receive any extensive consideration. It was more like a passing comment at the board level, and so it didn't receive endorsement for the funds to be released or authorization, for which reason the former board chair, Professor Otumfuo-led, and then the CEO are being prosecuted for the botched project. Now, in court today, the lead counsel for the first accused person, Solomon Asamoah, he cross-examined Yao Odame Dakwa, and at the last court sitting, the presiding judge had ordered Odame Dakwa to, as it were, present a series of emails, 16 of them, to the court, because it had become apparent that the SkyTrain project was not really just mentioned in passing. There were series of email exchanges between the prosecution witness, who is a former board member, the former CEO, who is the first accused person, and other board members as well. And so he was asked to present those email correspondence just to prove what was happening. Now, he came today, he said he couldn't really print them out, and so the defense lawyers provided him with those details. And so one after the other, the defense lawyer led by Victoria Bath presented or tendered in those email exchanges as evidence. Now, during the correspondence, the emails, more than 16 of them, I could count about 20, they presented my exhibits, right? They span from July to September 2018. Now, in those correspondences, again, it became apparent that meetings were had concerning the SkyTrain project. The prosecution witness himself had sent emails to the CEO, other board members, all discussing the SkyTrain project. Now, in one instance, there was minutes that the defense lawyer made Yao Odame Dakwa actually read out, where it had to do with the investments committee members of the GIIF commending or supporting the SkyTrain projects after the CEO, the former CEO, did an extensive presentation on the viability of the project and what the country stood to gain if that project came to fruition. But when they asked the prosecution witness about it, he sort of indicated that he had to refresh his memory, in that he couldn't even confirm that meeting happened. But there was the minutes from that meeting. And so it's sort of, it looked like a situation where he has shot himself in the foot because it looked like he was made to eat his own words or admit contrary to what he has said previously. And so it more or less became a case of the defense lawyers discrediting the prosecution witness. And so the case has actually been adjourned to tomorrow for this cross-examination to continue. So we'll see how things will pan out from there in this regard, Martin.
Right. Okay. So we just wanted to also know when the next date will be, which is tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much. Lord Edu Asare is our man who was in court and monitoring the Sky Train project case for us. We'll update you subsequently, especially tomorrow when the two sides do return to court. This is still 3FM 92.7. Time now for business, after which we'll have sports.